turned it over and turned the camera upside down to hopefully make me right side up. So we'll find out when this is all done. Anyway, so we're having our partner dinner this Saturday, which is March 29th at the Cowboy Church in Goldthwaite, as I said. We're going to have um, a taco bar, salad bar for the meal. Meal is free. There'll be donation buckets there if you would like to donate for the meal. We're going to have a guest speaker from Phoenix, Arizona, who is flying in Friday to be with us. That is going to be our keynote speaker. We're going to have a silent auction. We're going to have door prizes. We're going to have a free gift for everyone. It should be really a great night to come together to share the 2024 report of what happened as far as various ministry accomplishments that our partners helped us to do. And then we're also going to do a vision casting for 2025, and we'll give a financial report as well during the meeting. So it's going to be a great time. I invite you to come if you are available Saturday evening, 6 o'clock. We would love to have you there. While we're getting all that stuff together, we're also having some work done in our house. So it's going to be an interesting week for sure. But anyway, I wanted to share with you a little bit as we're talking about this missions focus this week for our ministry. I wanted to take a look at a message that I shared, and I'm just going to pick a couple highlights. I'm not going to do a 25 or 30-minute message here, just a few highlights. A lot of times people say, well, I don't know, what I have to offer. And I would like to point us to 2 Kings chapter 4, verses 1 through 7. And in this passage, it's Elisha who meets up with this poor widow. And her husband has just died, and he was a man of God. And here's what it says in the New Living Translation. One day, the widow of a member of the group of prophets came to Elisha and cried out, "My husband who served you is dead, and you know how he feared the Lord. But now a creditor has come threatening to take my 2 sons as slaves," which this was a very common thing back then. If you owed money, people could come and basically foreclose on your children and turn them into servants and slaves. Verse 2, "What can I do to help you?" Elisha asked. "Tell me, what do you have in the house?" That's a key phrase right there. What do you have in the house? Another way I've heard that said is, what do you have in your hand? And she says, nothing at all except a flask of olive oil. A flask would be, just a very small amount. It probably wouldn't be any more than, what this cup would hold. Whoa. And so that's all she had, was just that flask of oil. And Elisha said, "Borrow as many empty jars as you can from your friends and neighbors, then go into your house with your sons and shut the door behind you." In other words, remove the distractions. Focus on what you need to do. "Pour olive oil from your flask into the jars, setting each one aside when it is filled." So she did as she was told. Her sons kept bringing jars to her, and she filled one after another. Soon every container was full to the brim. "Bring me another jar," she said to one of her sons. "There aren't any more," he told her, and then the olive oil stopped flowing. Then she told the man of God what had happened, and he said to her, "Now sell the olive oil and pay your debts, and you and your sons can live on what is left over." In this story, we see a number of things. Number one, the man of God, who was in tune with what God was wanting him to do or to say. We have this woman who was willing to do whatever crazy things the man of God told her to do in relation to solving this problem. And we have her sons who are willing to help her. And, I'm sure at some point they were thinking, man, how many more jars do we need to go find, So they all all these characters in this story were obedient at whatever level they needed to be obedient in. Um, and so many times we come with this idea of, well, I can't preach, I can't teach, I don't have anything to offer. But you have a testimony. Everyone who is a child of God has a testimony. That testimony is what fits into the part of the Great Commission that says, go into all the world, beginning in Jerusalem. All of us have that ability of sharing our testimony in Jerusalem. We don't have to go to another country. We don't have to go to another state. We don't have to do any of those kinds of things. We share our testimony with our coworkers. We share our testimony with family members. Our testimony is what God has done for us. You can debate with atheists about the Bible. You can debate with atheists about God. You can debate about all kinds of different things like that. But they cannot win a debate on what has God done for me. And I serve God, and I believe there is a God because of my personal experience. That is your testimony. No one can argue and convince you that God's not real because God has made himself real to you. So we are all called to do that. That's our flask of oil that we all have, is our testimony that we all can share with anyone around us. And in fact, let me go a step further. If you ever were to decide to go on a short-term mission trip, that same flask of oil, your testimony, can be used on the mission field as well. You may not feel you can get up and preach a sermon at a service in Belize, but you can get up and share your testimony before the person who's going to preach gets up to preach. I remember when I went to Kenya in 2003 and 2004,